Pat, what's up? Who you got over there? Looks like a living legend.
Yeah, living legend, a living goat. There's obviously a barn animal that just showed up. Ladies and gentlemen, Nick Saban.
Yeah, coach.
Can you hear the boys?
I hear him, man. Sounds
what
good,
are you
too.
giggling about the living legend and the barn animal and the whole thing? That's what you are. You've earned this, Coach Saban. You're a GOAT, bro. You're the greatest of all time. That is why anytime you get a chance to tell stories or give us answers, we just take your thoughts as our own and we go forward. Ain't that right, boys?
That is exactly right.
Yep, to a T.
That's
Well, I enjoy doing it. It's fun because I like the boys, as you call them.
Hell yeah, the fellas.
The other guys.
back
Hell
in the
yeah,
day,
coach.
The other guys.
We're the other guys.
Okay, let's talk about this game here.
Yeah.
Nobody really talking about them. And I know you loved Gunnar Stockton coming out of high school. Obviously, whenever he was thrusted into the position to play last year, I think we talked about your interest in what he can do and what he can accomplish. What did you see from him last year, or maybe in the first week that says, yes, Georgia's going to be able to go on with him as a guy? And then for them, what does Heupel's team look like this year, whenever you kind of watch the film?
I think the big thing with Georgia is they've shown an ability to run the ball pretty effectively. They haven't made a lot of explosive plays, and I think it's a combination of, Gunnar has played pretty well, except with the offensive line, he gets a little pressure. He's a little antsy in the pocket. He gets out of the pocket quickly. He gives up on plays a little bit, and I think that's affected their ability to make explosive plays down the field.
Okay.
And I think that's something that's going to be important for Georgia to get fixed. Now, I think Georgia's defense, which people don't talk about much because they lost so many guys, they got some dogs playing defense. They can run, they're athletic, they get after it, they play hard, they're well coached, so I like their defense.
Okay, so Kirby lost his entire defense to go to the NFL. Okay, is that because of the way he's able to develop guys there? Is that because the recruiting? What is it about Georgia? And in this modern world that we're in, we all understand the Penn States, Oregons, Michigans, Ohio States, Texases, Texas Techs. We're all saying this. We understand what the modern world is. Is Georgia going to be good in that department? And is Kirby going to just have a perennial great team like we all expect because of the way he coaches?
Well, I think it's a combination of Kirby believes, like I believe, in terms of recruiting well and developing players. Now, in this day and age, if you recruit well, you're going to lose some of those players because they're all not going to play early, which is going to hurt you. And then just complement your team with the portal. I think that's really the way Kirby goes about it. That's the way I would have gone. I always went about it, and I would still do it that way. And I think he's going to be successful consistently because of that.
And Josh Heupel, he's going to be joining us here in a matter of moments. I guess he doesn't necessarily love doing media and stuff like that. They say he's not like the most flamboyant guy. National champion quarterback for Oklahoma. Obviously, we were there last year when Tennessee goes to Oklahoma. And with the way it ended, nobody wanted to make a big story out of it, even though it was a cool moment. Now, loses Nico Iamaleava, has a playoff game last year in Columbus, has his new quarterback that might be the perfect fit for him. Is Josh Heupel's offense the thing that's going to carry Tennessee all the time, or is it their defense like last year that was great?
Well, I think you got to have good defense because you can't just outscore everybody in college football now. But I think Josh Heupel does a great job with the offensive team. And I think Joey Aguilar does a great job of executing the offense. He actually executes the offense, to me, a little better than even Nico did. Now, Nico's a better athlete. He can run faster and all that. But when it comes to accuracy and decision-making, Joey Aguilar does a really good job. And that's important for Josh Heupel's offense. Every running play has an RPO or an advantage throw built into it. So for the quarterback to throw those accurately is really, really important.
Yeah.
And they make explosive plays, man. And I'm telling you, if they can run the ball against you, it is a real tough day playing against Tennessee because they're always going to go fast. You've got to get your ass off the field on third down or you're going to have these long extended drives where your team's going to get tired, so you're going to be at a disadvantage.
How about, have you seen Aguilar's story? The City College of San Francisco, then Diablo Valley College, then App State, Then he was at UCLA, I don't know for how long, maybe a week. I don't even know if he got enrolled. And then when Nico goes there, he's like, all right, I'll just go to Tennessee. It's like he's one of these guys that we've seen in this modern transfer portal era, comes from a smaller school, works his ass off, and now he has the opportunity on the biggest stage. We saw it with Mateer last week with Oklahoma. We thought that was a special connection that he and his offensive coordinator Arbuckle had whenever they got to Oklahoma. Is this going to be one of those types of magical runs potentially with Aguilar this year, or is this a defense that he's never seen before and we have no idea how he's going to react?
Well, I think he's going to see the best defense he's seen by far. They're faster. They know how to prepare. Then they know how to play against this offense because they have experience doing that. Kirby has experience doing it. And their players understand what they have to do to get ready for this offense. So I think this guy's going to have a great career here, though. And I think he's going to be a big-time story throughout the rest of the year.
I love the story coming from City College of San Francisco to Diablo Valley. I never heard that. It's a great name. Diablo.
I've never heard of that either. So
why weren't you recruiting these guys? Give them an opportunity. Never know if they go. AP Tone has a question for you back in studio, Coach.
Yeah, Coach, there was a lot of really good teams who did not look really good last week. They kind of sleptwalk through teams or games against lesser opponents. Clemson, Penn State, LSU, Georgia. They all looked. There were some sloppy moments to that game. And then on the other hand, like Oregon looked incredible. Florida State looked incredible. Is there anything that we should take? Like, should we worry about those teams that didn't look good against lesser teams and maybe bring up an Oregon or Florida State and think higher of them? Or is that just like a 1 week that could happen type of thing?
You know, I loved it when we played a bad team and we didn't play very well against them, because then I could get on everybody's ass about it. I just love that. All right. But I do think it's really hard, all right, when you play 12 games to be up for every game. I really do. So you got to be able to play to a level, to a standard that you can get through those kind of games, because the fans don't want to see those games. The players don't really want to play in those games. So I don't think you can read too much into it if they don't play their best football against a not-so-good opponent.
Let's talk about USF, because obviously they're a big part of your story your last season, I believe, with the third week. Was that third week or second week?
Third week.
Third week. Rainstorm, hell.
17-7, man. Big rain delay.
Oh, nightmare.
I was walking around in the locker room during a rain delay and say, could we really lose to these guys?
And you could. You definitely could have. A lot of teams can lose to this particular team. What do you see from this USF team? Feels like they're very athletic, and I've been told by everybody that has lived in Florida that I've talked to, like when Florida boys play against each other, USF and Miami, a lot of Florida boys playing against each other, the 17.5 spread and everything like that, you can kind of throw it out. Do you agree with that? And what have you seen from this USF team? Might be the story of college ball thus far.
Yeah, I think that all those guys playing out there against Florida, playing for South Florida, they all wanted to play for Florida. So they're trying to prove something. They got some passion about what they're trying to do, and they'll be the same way in Miami. And I do think this team buys into what their coach wants them to do. They got lots of grit. They play hard. They overcome a lot of adversity. If you look at them statistically, they're nothing special. I mean, they're not ranked high in any category. All right, offense, nothing.
I try to find
They stop people in the red zone. They score in the red zone. That's about it. But the rest of it is not that impressive, except the competitive spirit and the grit that they play with, and that's carried them through because they stay in games, and then they seem to be able to make plays when they need to make them in a critical moment.
Miami, though, looks for real. Cristobal seemingly has the team, and Carson Beck looks like obviously who he is, a 10-year vet out there.
And I think one of the reasons for that, they're much better on defense. All right, but Carson Beck is a really good quarterback, and he's played exceptionally well so far this year, but they are physical, man. I mean, they played physical. They were more physical than Notre Dame, which is typically a pretty physical team. So the combination of those two things and the improvement on defense, I think, is going to make this a hard team to beat.
I like how physical they are. I feel like whenever you see guys, if they're big and fast, boy, they have a chance.
We like big, man. You know, like I always say, the lightweights don't fight the heavyweights in boxing for a reason, and has nothing to do with skill. Nothing to do with skill.
Derrick Henry. Brother. Okay, take me back in time. We just looked this up. 55 touchdowns his senior year?
Yep.
Is that what it was?
Yep.
55 touchdowns his senior year. He's 500 yards away from his high school yardage, which is 12,254 or something like that. I forget the exact number. When you're recruiting your ass off for this guy, this is all hands on deck. This is going to be the next one, which he certainly was for you, and he has been in the NFL. I think Eddie George also took him under his wing at the Tennessee Titans and made him even better than everything. They talk about his work ethic being insane. That recruiting process, you're selling your ass off to him, right? You know he's a game changer?
Yeah, but the amazing thing about this, and I don't want to throw anybody under the bus here, so I won't mention any names, but you can go back and see who all was recruiting him. But nobody except us said you can play running back.
What?
Can you believe that?
So
they're talking about the guy being an outside backer. They're talking about being this and that. And I said, because he's tall, he's long, he doesn't fit the real, sort of running back style that people look for. I said, hell, this guy's hard to tackle. He's fast. He's got a great stiff arm. I said, why can't he play running back? I don't care if he looks a little different than some of these other guys. So I said, look, man, we're recruiting you as a running back. We do whatever you want to do. Now, the one Derrick Henry story I love to tell when he was a freshman, we were doing a pass pickup blitz period, and he's playing running back, and he doesn't block the right guy, and coaches all get on his tail for not picking up the linebacker. And he comes to me and he says, Coach, he said, you're going to have to understand something. He said, I never learned how to do any of this stuff in high school. They just turned around and tossed me the ball and told me to run with it. He said, so I don't understand any of this stuff you're talking about. He said, but I'll work at it and I'll get it. And he got it. But I'll tell you, the most impressive thing about Derrick Henry to me is, first of all, we have Nick's Kids giveaway where we got 125 special needs kids, in the room. He buys them a book bag and gets on video and talks to them during Nick's Kids giveaway. That's number one. Number two, how he took ownership for fumbling the ball in the game. How many guys would do that? Tell his team, it's on me, loss is on me. I got to take care of the ball. Took total ownership for making a mistake in the game.
That's good leadership. It's almost like he might have learned from somebody, in a pretty good way. I'm sure you're incredibly proud watching all that. Like when he takes the ownership of that, I assume that's something that you're like, yes. Well, also you know him to be that guy. But when he does that, that's like the human as opposed to just the player that came through Alabama.
That's exactly right. And that's what I respected about guys. The right kind of people really make your team what it is.
The culture is the people, and Derrick Henry is the king still at this point. And he's getting a little bit of a, well, he didn't say anything. He said, we'll see, basically, to a couple Cleveland Browns players saying, he ain't nothing. He ain't nothing. Thank God you kept him at running back. Could you imagine being an asshole college football coach coming in there? You just scored 55 touchdowns. Okay? We're not giving you the ball ever again.
I don't even know which Cleveland Browns guy said that, but if they had to practice every day against this guy, I guarantee you they'd be the first one says, I ain't tackling his ass every day. I guarantee it.
It was an LSU guy,
shit on the media, but when it comes down to it.
It was LSU guy.
LSU guy. How many games they beat us when he played?
What was he supposed to say, Coach? What was he supposed to say? They asked him if he was scared, basically, to tackle. He's like, no, I ain't scared, nothing, And then, boom, it's all of a sudden, this guy says Derrick Henry's soft. And it's like, holy shit. And then Derrick Henry heard it. And he goes, we'll see. It's like, oh, my God, extra motivation to this guy who's supposed to be a defensive end out of high school, but he happens to be faster, have better vision, tougher, balance. And he does have killer. Man.
Do you understand how long this guy's arms is when he stiff arms you and you try to tackle him? I mean, it's I don't know what his sleeve length is, but it's just out there.
Pretty good recruiting. Hey, so let's give this guy the ball. What's everybody else saying? He's going to tackle people. Oh, okay, yeah. We'll give you the ball, dude, if you come here.
Coach, what do you tell your defense? If you were playing against them for real, what would you tell like a safety here? Hey, we need 11 dudes to tackle this ball. Like, what can you honestly tell a defense when you're playing Derrick Henry?
Right. I think the big thing is once this guy gets going and once he gets downhill, I mean, he's much faster than people think. And he doesn't look like he's fast, but he's got such a long stride. It's like right here, man, these guys are having a hard time catching him, and they got angles. So you don't want the guy to get out. You want to keep him boxed in. Everybody's got to play with leverage. And, I always taught DBs to tackle high. But I'm not sure when a guy like Derrick Henry, high-cut guy like this, you're not better off trying to tackle him low.
Yeah, but then you're going to eat a knee. Then you're eating a knee because he runs violently. And it's like, what a perfect running back in the NFL. And obviously alongside Lamar Jackson, that's quite a tandem. Are they going to win a Super Bowl or are they going to lose in the fourth quarter all the time? Josh Allen won the MVP allegedly in the fourth quarter because of what he was able to do. The Baltimore Ravens have it all. I hope they go on a run for the good of butter. I don't want them to bait butter into thinking that they have a chance and then they end up not making it happen. They should win on all accounts. Connor has a question for you, Coach.
Yeah, Coach, kind of a massive decision for Colorado's Deion Sanders. He's going with their third string, Ryan Staub, I believe is how you say his last name, at quarterback. Are you surprised by that just because they have a five-star, Juju Lewis, who actually committed on this program, sitting right there to play, and that whole entire, kind of worry about the NIL and transfer portal with a guy of that caliber? Are you surprised by that decision, or do you think it is probably more beneficial for him to continue to sit and learn because he's so young?
Well, first of all, I don't know enough about all these guys. I know Juju. We recruited him for a long time. He was in our camp and all that stuff for years. But, you got to have a little faith, trust, and confidence in the coaches and the coaching staff to help develop a guy and not throw him out there before he's ready. Because one of the worst things you can do, and one of the biggest reasons I think there's a lot of failures in the NFL at the quarterback position, is you draft a guy high, you got to feel like you got to play him. He's not ready to play, he loses his confidence, he doesn't have success, and that's exactly what you don't want to have. So I can see that they're trying to bring Juju along the right way. Now, I don't know this third-team guy that he's talking about, but I have a lot of faith, trust, and confidence in Deion and his staff's ability to make a decision about who's going to give them the best chance to win right now as they continue to develop Juju.
Feels like Coach Prime and them will ride the hot hand. If this guy does his thing, he'll earn the job. They have respect for that. I'm excited for this next chapter here of the Colorado Buffaloes football team. Obviously, Coach Prime has to battle this offseason for his life and everything. We're incredibly happy about that. But now the new identity is going to have to come into full force. I'll be excited to see how they balance it all, especially with how great it was economically for that school. Everything was just so beautiful out there. Hopefully, they're able to tie it together.
Yeah, and Deion's changed the culture there.
Definitely.
I mean, people believe, and I know he did it with a couple great players, Shador and Hunter, but now can the culture sustain itself, and they have enough good players to have enough success to sustain it?
That'll be the combo. Speaking of a culture sustaining, and then, people, it's getting breezy out here, by the way.
A little bit.
That's it's one of these Zippo lighters. You ever see, these are back from your day, right? I mean, you guys used the Zippo lighter all the time. This thing is pretty cool looking. See that?
Yeah.
See that? On a windy day like this, the Zippo is a really good thing. But, in a theory world, and Kalen DeBoer, we're not out on. Okay, we love Kalen DeBoer. Don't we, boys?
Yes. Love him.
We love him.
Yes, great guy.
As a person, love him.
Well, and also as a ball coach, he's won everywhere.
Yep.
Okay, this is a tough spot in Alabama. And
Loved him in purple.
Who knows how it goes. He was perfect out there in Washington, obviously. I think people in Dakota would say he was perfect there. Everywhere he's been a winner. But, hot seat. Let's see how it all works out. Dabo, is he ever going to be – Ty has a question for you over there.
Yeah, Coach. Diggs mentioned how several teams just, didn't look good against inferior opponents last week, Clemson specifically. Are we at a point where, now listen, going into this year, everyone was kind of picking them or crowning them to be the national champion with how many future NFL guys they're going to have, top of the first round guys, even with teams like Ohio State and Texas out there. Do you think it's possible that they maybe drank that rat poison a little bit too much? I know they won last week, but obviously didn't look great. And are we at a point where maybe Clemson, Dabo, they do need a fresh start? I know he's used it a little bit, but his reluctance to use the transfer portal, I don't know what their NIL situation is like. Just what are your thoughts on Clemson kind of as a whole going into week 3 here?
Yeah, I think that, you can look, way into this too much. But in my opinion, the one issue that Clemson has is, first of all, their best wideout is out, but their offensive line has not performed very well. I mean, the quarterback has been under duress the whole season. I mean, in the LSU game, this guy's running for his life, and it affected him. So one of the goals you always have on defense when you're playing against any quarterback is, can we affect the quarterback? And when you don't have a good offensive line, that makes it a little easier to be able to do that. And Klubnik is a really good player that hasn't had an opportunity to play very effectively this year, and I think it's because of the pressure he's getting. So they need to fix their situation in the offensive line. Now, we can say, did they overrate it going into the season? I don't really know that. Could they have done better if they'd have got somebody out of the portal? I don't know that, but you got to be able to win on the line of scrimmage. Now their defensive line's pretty salty, so they're pretty good up on defense. But their offense has been a little bit of a problem, and I think it starts up front with the offensive line. If the people around the quarterback don't play well, the receivers get open, the line give them time to operate, then you're going to have issues, and I think that's where they are right now.
Okay, let's talk about that boy, Dabo. I have respect for him, obviously, because I've seen them have a lot of success. Feels like he is very much well-regarded around the coaching community and the college football community. Is that accurate?
I think that's true, yes.
Like, he's beloved. And for Clemson, he built that place up.
Yeah, he did.
Lifetime contract.
And he's had a lot of success, man. They've been in playoffs
last
a lot.
year.
Yeah. I mean, but not last year.
What do you mean?
Well, I mean, did he get in the playoffs?
Yeah, they kicked the what was the field goal?
Oh, yeah.
Texas
beat
against SMU.
him.
Yeah, Texas.
It was not a good showing in the playoffs, but it was guy hit a 58-yarder or something like that. What was the kick? 56 maybe?
Yeah.
Yeah, like the last one of
Remember
the
that kid?
season.
But,
that's when Syracuse beat Miami, and Fran Brown said, "You're welcome, Dabo."
Yeah, I think it was the
That's
ACC championship.
Right.
It was.
But the defense was a problem for him last year. I mean, when they played Texas and people like that, they couldn't stop them.
Yeah, can't keep up.
And the offense, sort of matched up pretty well against most of these teams. But that's not happening this year for some reason, and I think it starts up front.
A lot of season left. Left. I need to see Dabo really. He needs to start maybe hand on head, high stepping it down that hill.
That's a good idea.
Question for you,
Coach,
Coach.
you'd run down that hill.
Coach, we were speaking about accountability a little bit ago. Fran Brown, I don't know if you saw it, his team was running sprints after they barely won against the UConn Huskers. Have you ever had to do anything drastic like this to a team after a game?
Huskies.
Huskies. You're right.
Huskers.
I knew in the moment I messed that one up, but that's all right. I'm thinking Nebraska. But have you ever done anything like this, I guess, after a game, maybe the next morning, where you're going to kind of wake your team up maybe?
No, I never did. Maybe I should have a few times, but
It all worked out.
we never did. I wanted the players to look when players don't do right or they don't have success, and each one of us have competed at some level at some point in time in our career. Nobody feels worse about it than they do. So I think the tough thing to overcome now, I call it the disease of me. Everybody's worried about how does it affect me, and sometimes they put that ahead of the team. That's why you see some of these penalties occurring that, end up affecting the outcome of games. I don't know why Fran did what he did, but, they did come back in the game and have success. So you should be pleased with the grit that your team showed. I always wanted to take the positives out of the game and correct the negatives. So if this works for them, maybe they'll play better next week. I never did it. That doesn't mean it wouldn't work for us at times.
When would you do it? It feels like I've never seen anybody do that. And I've asked around. I guess, AJ, what is it? High school you guys did it? Maybe you Little League?
Yeah, we had a 7-on-7 league where we got in a big brawl with another team. We ended up running sprints afterwards just because we lost the game after the fight because a lot of guys were beat up. But yeah.
Yeah. Well, Bruce Arians talked about that 5 a.m. scrimmage, 3 hours, no stretching. Let's get at it, boys. In Temple, late in the season, there's no sun out, so that's certainly a way to get it across. Fran Brown talked about how, I'm trying to make these guys better men, better husband, better fathers. So whenever they're doing things that aren't the right way, I have to be able to correct them, and that's the way that he kind of seen that taking place.
Well, I do think that young people, players, people have to understand cause and effect. So when you don't do something right, there's going to be a consequence for it. And I think sometimes young people don't sort of take that into consideration as much as they should. And sometimes I don't think you do them any favors when they don't do it right and you don't confront them with it and show them how to do it right.
I'm trying to do that with my daughter right now. She's 2 years old.
That's really hard.
I'm trying my best. She'll throw a full temper tantrum about something. And at the very end, I'm like, should I fold? Should I fold? She really wants this thing right now. Last night, it was a peach. She wanted a peach. So I gave her the peach. Do that for everything. And lo and behold, he wanted to watch Bluey about an hour later. And it was a little too close to bedtime, though. Didn't want to do Bluey. Maybe we'll do Trash Truck. Maybe we'll do something a little slower, to put her to bed. Yell, 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 yell. And I'm like, this is my fault because I allowed it to literally happen with the Peach just a couple minutes ago. But when she looked at me and she's doing full pouts now. We're doing head down, full arms crossed, pouting. And then she looks up at me. There's actual tears. I'm like, how the you're crying because of this? This is unbelievable. And I folded. And I'm rewarding poor behavior. I've seen Dr. Phil. Okay, I understand how this whole thing goes. I've also seen Jerry Springer. We're aiming for not either of those with this. But it is a cause and effect situation, so I'm trying my best. It's not easy to be that guy, though. It's not easy.
It's not easy, especially with your kids, because you got to make a tough call all the time. Do you make your kids happy by giving them what they want, or do you stand firm and make them do what's right? And there's a tough balance between those things, but it's really a key to being a good parent. And I'm kind of surprised that you folded.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you being surprised there. Yeah, because I'll tell you, she learned the pout, because she used to just cry and yell, but it wasn't like cute. It was like, come on, this ain't it. Dead body weight. She's trying to take a bump. She's throwing herself back while she's yelling, and it's like, yo, you can't be doing that, even though I've learned she's wildly tough and she's going to run into stuff all the time. But this whole new pout with like her head down with tears, it got me. And she had the Peach. She loved the Peach. I think the Peach is good. If we're going to continue to do that for Peaches, that's good. She's enjoyed chocolate a little bit. Okay, and if she's like me, which it appears she's going to be, she's really going to have a sweet tooth. So we're going to have to really balance that. But coaching, parenting, same thing. Coaching is a lot of parenting, right?
Exactly. It's exactly.
Do you miss it?
I miss the relationships with the players.
Development, fulfillment
the
development,
out of that. And I loved seeing guys give themselves a better chance to be successful in life because of the leadership and the influence that you might have had on them. I miss that a little bit, but it's a better quality of life at this station of my life, not to have 125 children. You got one you're worrying about.
Yes.
All right, 125 running around on a campus, 60% female, with no curfew. That's hard.
Yeah, it is.
Hard
There's a lot of, hey, can't be pouting, can't be folding either of those. You got to really stay firm. Well, I want to let you know it's been an honor to watch you lead. It's been an honor to watch you work, and we appreciate the hell out of you stopping by. Welcome back to Knoxville.
Enjoy it. I tell you what, it's a little better coming here to do this than it has been on my previous trips to Knoxville.
How has it been here?
Big rivalry game for us. We got the all-time record for boo when Lane came out of the tunnel. When he came back and was with us after he left her after 1 year, went to USC. I've never heard a boo like that ever in my life.
Did you acknowledge it to Lane, or did you just act like it was non-existent at the time?
No, I just patted him on the back, and he smiled about it, and we went.
Let's go with this thing. 102,000, I guess. It's the 8th largest stadium in the world, 3rd largest in the SEC. That goes back to the culture of the SEC. They're getting as many people in here as they possibly can. This place will be packed out, obviously. What is this place compared to maybe other stadiums? Because I know their light show and their game day ops is like insane, right? And aren't they kind of noted for that?
Yeah, and this is a hard place to play. Maybe because the Tennessee-Alabama rivalry goes way back, but it was a hard place for us to play. They had great fans. They were always enthusiastic as hell for when we came in here, and it was a difficult place to play. And I'm sure it's going to be difficult for Georgia, but they've had success here in the past.
Okay, let's talk about difficult games before we let you go. Backyard Brawl this weekend. We're supposed to be there.
Come
on.
Ohio's tough.
Ohio's a good team. Remember, Ohio's a good team.
They are a good team, but
Alabama doesn't want Ohio.
We had huge plans to go back to West Virginia. I know you had plans, but we had plans. We had hotel rooms. We had family coming to games. We bought tickets. We did all kinds of stuff.
No.
Senator Manchin was going to come over and visit with us. We had all kinds of stuff.
No.
I was maybe going into a Hall of Fame. That was potentially happening. I know you got the senator coming over. I'm almost going to Hall of Fame. We got to kick that back a couple weeks, I guess. That was, hey, Tone, Connor, Ty, AJ, tell him. I don't think he understands. that Ohio Bobcats team in Athens.
Tough spot.
Navarro's
They
going to be a
are
Heisman
a
finalist,
team.
coach. That's a Heisman
Mac-
finalist, Navarro, coach. Look out now.
They're the MAC champions. That's a good team up there in Ohio.
Well, I tell you what, though, there have been some really good teams in the MAC, especially, the top tier teams. So, and the bad thing about it is how do you get your team ready to play teams like that are good, but they're in the Mid-American Conference and your players may not be respecting them like they should.
Yeah, and then you got to go on the road to them as well.
That's the problem.
That's a West Virginia thing.
I hate, I would never do a 2-for-1. We did it with South Florida, and I was miserable about it to go there and play.
And they,
you can't, your team doesn't want to go there and play. So I just. But the athletic director never gets criticized for it.
that was the previous athletic director. We'd like to say Ren Baker would never negotiate this deal, but we appreciate that. And I appreciate the hell out of you. Next year, Backyard Brawl, we're going to be at, I think.
I hope so.
You're the man. Ladies
All
and
right.
gentlemen.
Thanks, man.
The greatest
Appreciate
of all
you guys.
time, Coach Saban.
Coach. Thank you, Coach.